All right, so unfortunately, the BBWAA writers have picked, in my opinion, the wrong guy for the National League Rookie of the Year. As you see here, Paul Skenes, he got 23 first place votes. Jackson Merrill, he ended up getting 7. Now, the good thing is, it's not like Cheerio, and all due respect to him and Imanaga, it's not like they were throwing a first or a second place vote. So all of the writers here, they at least were in the ballpark, and it's still cool that Merrill got 7 first place votes and he's second place, and he was the best position player in the National League as a rookie. And in my opinion, he was the best rookie position player in all of baseball this year. And it just happens that the most hyped pitching prospect since Steven Strasburg was a rookie the same year that he was. I hope that Pirates fans or just baseball fans in general, they understand that, yeah, of course I'm a biased fan, but I'm not blind to it. I'm not trying to say that Paul Skenes had a crappy season or he had a mid season. He was really good when he pitched. He had a sub 2 ERA. But how many appearances did he have? How many innings did he threw like what, 170 innings? He didn't even get to 200. How many starts? He didn't get to 30. He didn't get to 25, I don't think even, right? And then you've got Jackson Merrill, who had a OPS plus 27% above league average. He hit 24 homers, which is impressive as a rookie when we weren't expecting him to hit over 20 homers. I think we were expecting him maybe 10, 15. Like that would have been cool. And he doubles it. And he drove in almost 100 runs here, stole over 15 bags. And he was an all-star. And he was there every day. And now I get it. Paul Skenes can't control when the Pirates called him up. So maybe I shouldn't talk about, oh, well, Jackson Merrill was there since the beginning of the season. Because, and you're right to point this out, you wouldn't be saying that, Ben, if Jackson Merrill, if it was swapping spots, right? If Jackson Merrill was called up and dominated, but he was called up in May and Paul Skenes was here the whole year and he pitched well, I wouldn't be saying the same thing. But this is the reality, is that Jackson Merrill, he got the entire season. And I think that's really impressive that he was able to do that. And by the way, he had to play the Dodgers more times than Paul Skenes had to face great lineups, I would say. I mean, go look at Paul Skenes' division. You know, Jackson Merrill had to play in big time games. It sold out crowds, every night at Petco Park. I thought something that was going to help Jackson Merrill's case was the clutch situations. The 10-game stretch where the Padres were down by a run or it was tied and he ends up homering late 8th, 9th inning in games. It was insane, that stretch that he went on. To keep the Padres going in the right direction during that stretch. He was huge. 8th inning or 9th inning, game-tying home run. And he does it again, and he does it again. And then the walk-off homers off of Edwin Diaz and Mason Miller. The homer off of Blake Trinan against the Dodgers. I get it. These are regular season games. Some of the diving catches that he made. But I think we also got to consider here and not just look at the numbers, but consider that this is a guy that moved from the infield to set. He had never played center field before, and he's asked to move over there in spring training, and he ends up being an all-star and ends up being pretty darn solid out there in center field. So, yes, I get it. I'm biased, but I respect Jackson Merrill playing every day. He impacted the team every day. It also gave him more opportunities to fail. And he didn't really fail this year. Paul Skenes, I get it. He couldn't control when the Pirates called him up. But, and I know he dominated, sub 2 ERA. He was great. I'm not trying to say that he wasn't great in the time that he pitched. But as a Padres fan, it's real easy for me to sit here and be pissed off about this because Jackson had the bigger sample size and he was moving positions. And he went from bottom of the order to being one of the top guys in this order and most important players on this Padres team, And what I would say to this, and Jackson Merrill, I don't know how much he cares that he lost this Rookie of the Year. If anything, he'll use this as motivation. So I guess that's a positive as well. That wasn't going to be my positive, but that is a positive that Maybe he uses this as motivation, although he already has. I feel weird even saying that because he already has motivation. Or maybe he doesn't even have motivation. It's just that he wants to be great no matter what, even if they won the World Series this year. But he has motivation from this, from losing to the Dodgers, a lot. There's a lot there if he needs motivation. To me, he's not someone that needs motivation. To me, he's just a competitor and someone that wants to beat everyone that's in front of him. So maybe that's why he may be mad about this, but like, and I tweeted this out. I don't care, to be quite honest, what anyone else says, like in the replies about this. But if I was Jackson Merrill, if I had to pick one, would I rather be the BBWAA Rookie of the Year or the Player's Choice Rookie of the Year? Every day of the week, I'm picking the Player's Choice. And maybe some of you guys can relate to this in like where you work. Now, of course, you want to keep your job, right? But in terms of like winning awards or what people think of you, do you care more? Do you want to care more about what someone thinks that isn't there with you every day and doesn't know how hard you're working? Or do you care more about that person that is there every day and sees the work that you put in? Do you care more about what they think? Actually people that work alongside of you. If I was Jackson Merrill, I would care more about the Player's Choice Rookie of the Year, which he won, by the way, not Paul Skenes. I'd rather win that than the BB. If I'm a player, why do I care about what a writer in, you know, Washington D.C. who doesn't watch me every night and goes to bed at 10 o'clock when my game's just starting? Why do I care? Why should I care what that person thinks, right? I care more about what the players that play in this league and know how hard this game is, what they think about me. So I think that's pretty cool that Jackson won the Player's Choice. Do you want to win both? Of course. What's going to be remembered more? It's going to be Paul Skenes winning it because this is the official award on MLB Network during awards week, right? And the Player's Choice, it's something that's put out on social media. Merrill was at Dodger Stadium to take a picture with Tony Clark, I think, and Dave Winfield. But it's not going to be remembered other than Padres fans. It's going to be remembered as Paul Skenes actually winning the Rookie of the Year. But to me, like having the respect of the players, I think that's pretty cool. And that video that I think the Players Association put out about some of the guys, I think Shohei talked about him, Chris Sale, about how Jackson's going to be a problem for a while. That's, to me, that would weigh more than the BBWAA, what writers that don't watch me every night, what they think about me. Again, I don't want to make this into like a whole hate thing for Paul Skenes. I don't hate Paul Skenes. It's just that my guy was going up against him, and Jackson Merrill was there the whole year, plays every day, impacts the team every day. And what he had to transition to this year, the division that he's playing in, some of those matchups, like, yeah, I wanted this guy to win this. But obviously, what I care about more is what happens with the team. And, it's unfortunate both ways because Merrill didn't win that. Schilt's not going to win Manager of the Year because I think that's going to go to Pat Murphy with the Brewers. I think that's announced tomorrow. Which I'm not saying that Mike Schilt should win it, to be quite honest, because I understand what the talent on the Brewers. It's not the same as what it is on the Padres. Although I do give a lot of credit to Mike Schilt, no doubt. But it's the double unfortunate thing here, not being able to make it or win the World Series or beat the Dodgers, in the division series. And then Merrill doesn't win the award that I thought that he should have won. And I think a lot of Padres fans, if not everyone, thought that he should have won. East Coast bias is totally a thing. You cannot tell me otherwise. I can go through the voters here, and you may not know who all these guys are. I don't know even who all these guys are, but just go down the list of what team they cover. And by the way, I don't even understand, to be quite honest, why some of these people have a vote when they don't cover the team of that city day in, day out. I'll just say that. But I see Atlanta guys, they pick Paul Skenes. Dan Szymborski of Fangraph, someone who, obviously is smart, pays a lot of attention to everyone in baseball. He picked Jackson Merrill for what that's worth. There are some West Coast, Denver Post, the Colorado guy, he picked Paul Skenes. So I'm not trying to make it seem like it was only East Coast guys and all East Coast guys that picked Paul Skenes, but it was a lot of them that picked Paul Skenes. And they probably don't watch baseball till 1 o'clock in the morning because they have jobs to do. Could they look at numbers? Yes, but to me, that doesn't tell the whole story. If you watch Jackson Merrill, for a couple of weeks, put a spotlight on him for a couple of weeks and see how he impacts his Padres team, day in, day out for that span of time, I think that would really help these writers and maybe give them an edge, give Merrill an edge here in this. Obviously, it's hindsight because it's already happened. But I'm looking here. Let's see, the New York writers or the guys that are put here for New York. They both picked Paul Skenes. The Philadelphia writers picked Paul Skenes. Obviously, Pittsburgh picked Paul Skenes. Obviously, our guy Jeff Sanders got a vote. John Maffei, I don't recall seeing him write a Padres article in the UT this year, so I don't really understand why he got a vote, but that's just my opinion there. But it's a lot of East Coast guys, New York, Philly, Miami. They went with Skenes. It's not a surprise. East Coast bias is a thing. I lived on the East Coast for a year, and I was one of the rarities. Like, I watched the Padres games because I'm a Padres fan, and I still had my show and all that. Like, I was staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the morning to watch those games. And yeah, it was rough sometimes. Writers are not doing that. I guarantee you, baseball writers are not doing that. Maybe they did that for a week, at the end, so that they could say that, hey, I watched Jackson Merrill, and they can look at numbers and they can look at highlights, but Paul Skenes' highlights are going to look good too. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a butthurt Padres fan about this, but I wanted it for Jackson, obviously. I feel like we care about it more than he does. He cares about, winning on the field, which obviously I do as well. But I would have given it to Jackson. I thought he had a strong case. He was not just an above average player, but he was an all-star. I know Paul Skenes was as well. But Jackson Merrill was not as hyped. He's not on the East Coast. There was probably more focus on guys like Tatis and Manny on this Padres team, going into the year. I think there was more focus on someone like Jackson Chourio in the National League than there was on Jackson Merrill. So it took some time as well. But just Merrill in the clutch and what he meant to this team, those that watch him every day, I think they knew, like, he's our rookie of the year. He's the real rookie of the year. And Paul Skenes, I'm looking up Paul Skenes, his numbers real quick right now. Merrill, how many games did he play this year? 156 games, so pretty much the entire season. And Paul Skenes is able to win the award, and he played 23 games. He pitched in 23 games. 133 innings. That's it. And that can win you the Rookie of the Year. And I get it. He was really good in those games. I'm not trying to take that away from him, and he can't control when he got called up, but, like, the sample size for me is impressive on what Jackson Merrill was able to do. And there were outings from Paul Skenes. I guess it's also impressive that he was able to have a sub-2 ERA with some of these outings because he gave up 4 earned runs against the Dodgers. Gave up 3 earned runs against the Dodgers in 5 innings. Gave up 3 earned runs against the Cubs in his first start when he went 4 innings. It's a lot of strikeouts. I get it. It's a lot of times going 6, 7 innings. He went 8 1/3 against St. Louis, but that's St. Louis. Some of these outings, I'm looking at some of these outings, and again, I know this is going to come off as like Paul Skenes hate, but I'm a Padres fan defending my guy Jackson, and I'm looking at the game logs here. The Cubs, not a playoff team. The Giants, yeah, he faced Detroit, he faced the Dodgers, but the Cardinals, the Reds, the Rays. I'm just going through some of these opponents here. St. Louis, multiple times. Arizona, Seattle, Cincinnati, the Cubs. The Cubs multiple times, obviously. The Marlins, the Cardinals, the Reds. He only went 2 innings against the Yankees on that September 28th start because they were trying to keep him healthy. But, like, yeah. I'm going with the guy that was there for 156 games and transitioned to a new position and was clutch and was one of the team's best players to put them into the postseason, you know? But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. And again, if I had to pick, if I'm a player, the players who the players picked or who writers who didn't watch me every day picked, you know, and maybe didn't watch a Jackson Merrill game at all unless their team was playing the Padres, and maybe Merrill, didn't have those clutch hits in that, those 3 games, right?